remember what time it was when I woke up. I just remember my throat felt dry, and I had that confused feeling you get when you wake up somewhere unfamiliar. I thought I was back home, then I noticed the ceiling fan was different. Slower, clicking a little on one side. That's when I remembered we were in Colorado. We'd driven in late the night before. It was one of those rentals outside a small town, not really near anything. Trees, quiet road, a couple of other houses spaced far apart. The listing talked a lot about privacy and peaceful nights, which I guess should have meant something to me later. I woke up because someone was walking around. It didn't register as fear. It was more annoyance, like, great, the owner didn't tell us the place creaks this badly. It sounded like shoes on wood, but slow. Not pacing, just a step, then nothing, then another step. I lay there trying to decide if I was actually hearing it, or just half dreaming. My girlfriend Lena was awake too. I could tell because she shifted beside me, real stiff, like she didn't want to make noise. "You hear that?" she whispered. That's when it clicked that it wasn't just in my head. I said, "Yeah, the house settling," because that's what you say. I didn't fully believe it, but I didn't have a better answer at that moment. The bedroom door was closed. We always close doors when we sleep in unfamiliar places. It's a habit. The sound was coming from somewhere past the door, maybe the living room or the hallway. The house wasn't big, just one floor, but the layout was a little odd. Long main hallway, bedroom on one side, bathroom on the other, then living room and kitchen at the end. The steps stopped. We waited. Nothing happened for a while, long enough that my heart slowed down again. Then there was a noise that didn't sound like a step. It sounded like someone breathing, but not close. Muffled, like through a wall. And underneath that, something else. A voice, just a low, dragging sound, like someone talking to themselves really quietly, or humming, but off-key and slow. It sounded tired. Lena sat up in bed. She didn't say anything, just looked at me in the dark. Her phone lit up when she checked the time. Around 2 a.m. I got out of bed because I didn't want to just lie there imagining things. I figured if it was the heater or pipes or whatever, I'd feel stupid, but relieved. I opened the bedroom door slowly. The hallway light was off, but there was a faint glow from the kitchen window at the end. Nothing moved. The house smelled normal then. Coffee grounds, that generic cleaner smell rentals always have. I stood there listening. The sound stopped again, like it knew I was paying attention. I checked the front door first. It was locked. Deadbolt engaged. I actually tried it twice, turning the knob harder the second time, just to be sure. Everything was solid. I walked through the living room, stepped on a loose board that popped louder than I expected, and winced at myself. Still nothing. The sound didn't come back. No breathing, no weird voice. I went back to bed feeling kind of embarrassed for getting worked up. Lena didn't sleep though. I could tell because she kept shifting, and at one point she asked me if I was sure the door was locked. I said yes. I didn't mention the voice part because I didn't want to make it worse. The next thing I remember is the sound of the front door. It wasn't a bang or a crash. It was the normal sound of a door opening, like someone knew exactly how much pressure to use. Then the soft click when it closed again. Lena sat straight up and grabbed my arm so hard it actually hurt. We both stared at the bedroom door. I could hear my heart in my ears, which is something people say, but I actually could. Everything else felt quiet around it. I whispered, "Did you?" And she shook her head immediately. I checked my phone. Still dark out. I don't remember the exact time that time, just that it felt too early. The sound didn't come from the hallway this time. It came from closer, like from somewhere behind the bedroom wall. That low, slow voice sound again. Almost like someone was practicing words without fully saying them. I didn't think ghost. I didn't think monster. I thought, someone is inside the house, and they're not where they're supposed to be. I got out of bed again. Lena whispered for me not to open the door, but I didn't know what else to do. I cracked it open and looked down the hallway. Still nothing. No shadows. The front door was still closed. I could see it from where I stood. I walked to it again and checked the lock. Same as before. Locked. Deadbolt still turned. That didn't make sense, and I remember thinking that in a very flat way, like my brain hadn't caught up emotionally yet. The sound didn't stop when I checked the door. It drifted. I followed it, slowly, trying to place where it was coming from. It seemed like it was coming from the wall near the bedroom closet. The closet was one of those sliding door ones, cheap wood panel. We hadn't opened it since we arrived. We just tossed our bags in the bedroom and went to sleep. I slid one of the closet doors open a few inches, just enough to look inside. Suitcases, jackets, nothing weird. But behind that, at the back of the closet, the wall didn't look right. It wasn't flush. There was a narrow gap, like the closet was blocking something else. The smell hit me then, sharp and sour, like urine, but old, like it had soaked into something and never really left. I closed the closet door and stepped back. My stomach felt hollow, like I'd missed a step going downstairs. I told Lena there was a weird smell and maybe some kind of storage space behind the closet. I tried to keep my voice steady, but she could tell something was wrong. She got out of bed and stood behind me, holding her phone like it could help. We pushed the closet door fully aside together. Then we pushed the back panel. It wasn't attached. It moved. Behind it was a narrow hallway, barely wide enough for one person. No lights, just darkness stretching back a few feet, then turning slightly to the right. At the end, I could see faint moonlight coming through what looked like a back door or maybe a window. The smell was stronger there, way stronger. It made my eyes water. On the floor along one side of the narrow hall were things I didn't understand at first. Shapes, bundles. When my eyes adjusted, I saw they were dolls. Not store-bought ones. Handmade. Stuffed with something lumpy. Some had buttons for eyes, some didn't have faces at all. A few were shaped like people, but wrong. Arms too long, heads too big. One had hair that looked like it was cut from someone, not synthetic. I didn't step inside. I didn't need to. I already knew the sounds we'd heard didn't come from the house itself. There was also trash, food wrappers, crushed water bottles, a smell like someone had been living there recently. Lena started crying, quietly, like she didn't want whatever was in there to hear her. We didn't know, like she was apologizing to the house. I pulled the panel back into place and slid the closet door shut. It felt wrong to turn my back on it, but looking at it felt worse. We stayed awake until morning. No more sounds after that. When daylight came, the house looked cool again, almost cheerful. Sunlight through the windows, birds outside. It made me angry, honestly. We packed without talking much. The owner texted asking if everything was okay because we were leaving earlier than planned. I said yeah, something came up. He met us outside to collect the keys. Normal guy, smiling, talking about the weather. I didn't say anything about the closet. We told the police later, after we were already hours away. We kept it simple. Said there was a hidden space, signs someone had been inside. They took the information. People ask why we didn't notice it sooner, or why we didn't say something to the owner right away. I don't have a good answer. I just know that whatever was in that hallway knew how to stay quiet, and it knew the house better than we did. This was a few years ago. I was still in nursing school, was in my early 20s, living with my sister, working part-time, constantly tired, always studying. That kind of life. I was the type who liked going places alone when I had a free day, just to clear my head. Nothing extreme. Coffee shops, parks, short drives. I followed a lot of local travel pages online, just small hidden spots, nothing touristy. One weekend, I saw this post about a creek area, those locals-only kind of places. The pictures were nothing special. Some shallow water, trees leaning over it, rocks. But people in the comments kept saying it was quiet and never crowded. That's really all I wanted. Quiet. It was about an hour and a half from where I lived. I was thinking that was kind of far for a creek, but I had the day off and nothing else planned. My sister was working a double shift, so the house would be empty anyway. I packed a bag with water, snacks, my phone charger. I didn't tell anyone exactly where I was going, which I know now is stupid, but at the time it didn't feel like a big deal. The drive was mostly back roads once I got off the highway, the kind where the radio signal fades in and out. The directions online were vague, like park near the old fence and walk down. That was it. No address. I passed the spot once and had to turn around because I wasn't sure if that was actually it. There was a small dirt pull-off, barely enough space for 2 cars and an old wooden fence. One post was leaning. There was another car already parked there. I noticed it, but I didn't think much of it. That should have been my first sign to just leave. I parked anyway, grabbed my bag, locked my car. I remember checking it twice, like pressing the button again even though I heard the beep. Habit, I guess. The walk down to the creek was short but uneven, a worn path through weeds and dirt. I could hear the water before I saw it. It was pretty, in a simple way. Nothing dramatic, just calm. No one else around, which I liked. I took my shoes off and sat on a rock near the edge. The water was cold, but in a good way. I was there like 10 minutes when I heard footsteps behind me, someone walking normally. I turned around and saw a man coming down the path. Middle-aged, he was wearing jeans and a faded t-shirt. Nothing weird about how he looked, really. Just average. That almost made it worse later. He smiled and waved like we already knew each other. He said, "Hey, first time here?" I said, "Yeah," just being polite. He told me he lived nearby and came there all the time. Said he knew all the good spots along the creek. Then he asked if I wanted him to show me around a bit, like a tour. The way he said it wasn't aggressive. It wasn't obviously creepy, but something about it made my stomach drop. I don't know how to explain. It just didn't feel right. I didn't want to walk deeper into the woods with a stranger, especially not alone. So I smiled and said, "No thanks, I'm good. I'm probably heading out soon anyway." He paused, like he wasn't expecting that answer. Then he said, "All right, just thought I'd offer." He stood there a little too long after that, just looking at the water. Then he said, "Your car's up there, right?" That was the moment I really felt it, that cold feeling, because I hadn't told him where I parked. And there were 2 cars up there. I said, "Yeah," and then I stood up and put my shoes back on. I didn't want to be rude, but I wanted to leave. He watched me do it. Didn't move. I walked past him on the path. He stepped aside, still smiling. His smile didn't reach his eyes, which sounds like something from a movie, but that's honestly what stuck with me. It felt off. When I got back up to the road, I stopped. My car's tires were flat, both on one side, completely flat, not just low, like sliced. The back door window was shattered, cracked and pushed in, glass everywhere on the seat. My brain kept skipping, like maybe I was looking at the wrong car, but it was mine. Same air freshener hanging from the mirror. I felt sick. The other car was gone. I don't remember everything I thought in that moment. I dropped my phone when I tried to grab it, picked it up and called the only person I knew in that area. A family friend. He lived about 20 minutes away. I hadn't talked to him in a while, but he picked up right away. I don't think I explained it well. I was talking fast, crying a little, just saying someone messed with my car and I didn't know what to do. He told me to stay where I was and that he was coming. I sat on the ground near my car. I didn't want to be near the trees. I kept looking around. Every sound felt loud. Birds, wind, a car passing on the road. I don't know how long it took him to get there, but it felt forever. When he arrived, he got out of his truck and immediately asked if I was okay. He looked at the car and swore under his breath. He said the cuts on the tires were clean, on purpose. He helped me clean out the glass as best we could. We covered the window with plastic he had in his truck. He followed me while I drove slowly to a nearby place to get the tires replaced, and he stayed with me the whole time. That night, I went home and didn't tell my sister everything. I downplayed it, said someone vandalized my car. I didn't mention the man. I don't know why. I didn't want to scare her. Or maybe I was still trying to convince myself it wasn't connected. A few days later, I started noticing a car driving by our house at night. Just sometimes. Slowly. Our street wasn't busy, so it stood out. The car was dark. I couldn't see the plate. I told myself I was being paranoid, but one night I recognized it. The shape, the way the headlights looked. It was the same car that had been parked near the creek. I just watched from the window. The car passed, slowed slightly, then kept going. My heart was pounding. I tried to tell myself there were a lot of similar cars. Around midnight, there was a knock at the door. My sister was closer, so she got up and looked through the peephole. She asked me quietly if I knew a man standing outside. I didn't even have to see him. I already knew. She asked him what he wanted through the door. He said he wanted to talk to me. Used my first name. She said I wasn't available. He tried the handle. And she yelled. The man stepped back, ran to his car, and drove off. We never saw him again. If I had said yes to that tour, or stayed a little longer or gone deeper into the creek area, things might have ended very differently. I didn't plan on ending up there. That's the part that still feels important to say. I wasn't chasing ghost stuff or doing one of those most haunted places trips. I was driving through Louisiana because my original plan fell apart. A friend bailed on me last minute, hotel prices jumped, and I just kept going south instead of turning back. I do that sometimes. I don't know if that's a good trait or not. It was already late afternoon. My phone was at like 20% and overheating because it was hot out and I had maps running for hours. I stopped at some random gas stations. The guy inside asked where I was headed. I said, honestly, nowhere in particular. He laughed, like people do when they don't know what else to do. I ended up driving past St. Francisville without really meaning to. I saw a sign for Myrtle's Plantation. I'd heard the name before, just in passing, like from podcasts or YouTube thumbnails. I didn't even think of it as that place at first. It was just something familiar sounding. I figured I'd pull over, stretch my legs, maybe take a photo from the road, that kind of thing. I want to be clear about something. I didn't go on a tour. I didn't sneak into a building. I didn't trespass inside anywhere locked. I was mostly just around the outer grounds and nearby road. That matters to me because people always jump to conclusions when you mention this place. I parked off to the side where a few other cars had been earlier, but by then it was pretty empty. The heat was still thick, heavy southern air where it feels like it's pressing on your ears. Cicadas were loud, like really loud. It felt normal, like boring. I walked a bit, enough to get blood moving again after sitting all day. I remember noticing how quiet it got once I stepped away from the road. The cars faded fast. The cicadas didn't stop, but everything else did. No voices, no wind, no birds. I checked my phone again, 15%. I told myself I'd head back to the car in a minute. This is where it starts getting hard to explain without sounding stupid, and I don't want it to sound like that. I didn't feel scared yet. I just felt watched. Like when you realize you're the only one standing up on a bus and everyone else is sitting. That awareness hits you all at once. I remember rubbing the back of my neck and laughing quietly at myself. I said something out loud like, "Relax, man." No one heard it but me. But I heard a scream. It was messy. It cracked in the middle. It sounded like someone running out of air while screaming. It came from deeper in the trees, not from the house itself. That detail sticks with me. My brain just stalled. The scream cut off suddenly, like someone clamped a hand over their own mouth or hit a wall. After that, there was movement, fast movement. I heard something running hard, leaves tearing, branches snapping, way too fast for someone who was hurt. It didn't sound like an animal either. This wasn't that light bounding sound. This was heavy. I stepped backward without meaning to. My heel caught on something and I almost went down. My heart was already pounding at that point. I remember my hands shaking. The running got closer. Close enough that I could tell it was circling, not coming straight at me. That freaked me out more than anything. It wasn't random. I caught a glimpse of it between the trees. Just a flash at first. Tall. My brain did something stupid and filled in the wrong shape. For half a second, I thought it was a deer standing upright. No head. Just shoulders tapering up into nothing. I know how that sounds. I know. I stared harder, like squinting would fix it. And that's when it shifted into a clearer view. It wasn't a deer. It was a person. Or something shaped like one. The head was there. I just hadn't seen it at first because it was bent forward at an angle that didn't look right. The neck was craned down so far the head blended into the chest from where I was standing. The arms were long, swinging low, and it wasn't limping. It stopped suddenly. I stopped breathing. I didn't realize I had been holding my breath until my chest started to burn. We were like 30, 40 feet apart. No more than that. The light was bad under the trees, but I could see enough. Clothes, old-looking, dark. I couldn't even make out a face because the head was still angled down. Slowly lifted its head. I just felt this wave of wrong hit me. Disbelief, like my brain was refusing to accept what my eyes were doing. The face wasn't deformed or bloody or anything like that. That's not why it scared me. It looked normal, blank, eyes open wide, mouth open like it was catching its breath. It looked right at me and screamed again. It felt like it went straight through my chest. I don't know how else to describe it. My ears rang. I left. I didn't think about direction. I just turned and went. I tripped twice. I scraped my arm on something sharp. I didn't feel it until later. I remember yelling sorry at one point, which makes no sense, but that's what came out. I could hear it behind me. Still running, still fast. But it didn't close the distance. That's another thing that messes with me. If it wanted to catch me, it could have. I burst out into the open near the road and kept going until I slammed into my car door. My hands fumbled with the keys. I dropped them, picked them up, dropped them again. I finally got the door open and threw myself inside. The second I shut the door, the running stopped. Stopped, like someone hit pause. I started the car and drove. Didn't even put my seatbelt on until I was a mile down the road, and my hands had stopped shaking enough to manage it. I pulled over eventually. I don't remember where. Some shoulder with weeds and trash and a bent sign. I just needed to sit still. I didn't call anyone. I didn't know what I'd say. Later that night, I did talk to someone, just briefly. I kept it vague. They were polite. That's all I'll say about that. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw that shape moving between trees. I left Louisiana the next morning. What was that? A person messing with me? Someone on drugs? Some kind of performance? But none of those explanations sit right, not with how fast it moved, or how it stopped the second I got to the car. I don't tell people this story often. Most of the time I just say I didn't like the place. That's easier.